What is going on, everybody? We are live on YouTube. We're live on Rockfin. We are live on Twitter. And as an added bonus, we're early. I know, right? It's because my baby's asleep. That's the only reason why. What's going on, people? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can see me okay. I think we should be good on all fronts. We have an exciting show for you guys today. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be calling some people out as usual because, the Democrats have already proven to be the party of war. Not saying that the Republicans overall don't support war whenever they get the chance, but Jesus Christ, the Democrats are giving them a run for their money in ways that I would have never imagined, with people like Bernie Sanders, of all people, leading the front. I remember somebody actually tweeted out, or they responded to one of my tweets saying, it's crazy thinking about that moment where that bird landed on the podium when Bernie was giving that speech. And he was like, no more wars ever again. Yeah, 2016 was a long time ago, y'all. 2016 was a very, very long time ago, obviously. We're going to do some shout outs in the chat, and then we're going to get this show on the road. Friendly Brilliant, what's going on? Kenneth Ellison, good afternoon to you. Cash's nomination is in trouble. Cash, who's Cash? Somebody's nomination in trouble for what? Help me out. You know, there's 1,000 things going on right now. What's going on, Irv? Damn, Bernie's done completely sold out. Bruh, I know. It's crazy. I can't believe I gave that man. I know people complain about the money, right? But I gave that man a lot of my damn free time. That's what I'm probably the most mad about. I can't get my free time back. I can't get that time back. You know what I'm saying? Like, money is one thing, but I put a lot of time into that campaign. And I can say that some good things came out of it because of some people that I met along the way. I learned a lot. I got a lot of experience, but unfortunately that experience just taught me that I would never work in politics. Like, the only thing I could think of positively is that maybe I wouldn't have a show if I didn't experience everything that I had experienced, and I wouldn't have started the DNC fraud lawsuit, which basically ended up exposing the entire political machine. Like, that's the only thing positive I could think of, but I still want my damn time back. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. What's going on? So yes, this is live. Ashura, what's going on? Y'all make sure y'all like this video, share this video. Oops. Damn, bro, I forgot to put it on Telegram again. I'm messing up, y'all. My apologies. Give me 1 second. Let us know in the chat where y'all watching from. If you're watching from YouTube, if you're watching from Rockfin, if you're watching from X. Are you still around? Sorry, I gotta share this to Telegram really quick. I would share to Facebook, but you know they nuked my I got hacked on Facebook somehow. So I had to get rid of that page because Facebook has taken 18,000 years to respond to me. Okay. Like, share. YouTube and Canada. Boy, you mighty northward of myself. Is it cold up there right now? Of course it is. It's Canada. It's always cold. They're scared of Cash Patel exposing everything. Oh, I need to look more into that, apparently. YouTube Alabama. Oh, are you a Bama fan? Oh. You know, I can't stand the SEC, bro. The SEC is like the establishment, like the political establishment of sports. I can't stand it. I can't stand them. Bama fans usually are insufferable. I'm not gonna say all y'all are the same, but y'all ain't that dissimilar is all I'm saying. Also, I'm a UNC fan, so like not only do I have a disdain for the SEC, but being a UNC fans, like I go hard for the ACC because I know we be getting screwed over when it comes to football. They be waiting for an excuse to take us out of the college football playoffs. Don't even get me started, boy. Don't even get me started. In Ottawa, it's warm weather. Near Nick who? Who lives in Canada? Which Nick are we talking about? So it's in Florida. Oh, I know it's warm out there. Even though, no, it's about I don't know, man. Mid-February in South Florida be kind of cold sometimes, bro. One time I walked outside and it was so cold in the morning, my dog refused to go to the bathroom. This is a true story. I literally I took him outside. Well, I would take him outside like 6 in the morning, 5:30, because that's when I would wake up. And that boy walked outside. He looked at me, looked down the street again, looked at me, and took his ass. He walked towards the door. He said, "I'm not about to." Bro, this shit is funny as hell. Like he likes to play in the snow, but he'll like if it's snow is different. He'll play in the snow for like 10 minutes and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm over it." But yeah, he don't like the cold. He does not do cold, just like his daddy. I'm not a football. My man said, Kenneth said he is not a football fan because of that Alabama Auburn tribalism when he was growing. I like you, Kenneth. A rebel against the establishment. I like it. You know, it's funny. I was not a UNC Duke fan like that. My dad was a UNC fan. And because of the tribalism growing up, I was not a fan of either of the schools as far as the sports programs were concerned. My dad was always a fan of it. And so, but I was like a fan of UNC academically. And when I had an opportunity to go to UNC, like even though I followed the basketball because like I just liked basketball, but I wasn't a fan of either school. But then I went to UNC and then I joined the cult, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I was part of the UNC. I mean, I went to school there while they were like competing for national championships, but you know damn well I was part of that cult. I was in the street when we lost. Oh, bruh. When we lost, that shit was the most emotional moment of my life. Is that and having a child. Those are the two most emotional moments of my life, being on Franklin Street when UNC lost the national championship. Oh, that shit hurt. Woo. Boy, I never seen so many grown people cry at once in my life. James Starks, thank you very much for the super sticker. He's a hater. I'm from Bama. Grew up a UNC basketball fan, though. Of course, a Bama football fan would grow up a UNC basketball. You gonna tell me that you like the Patriots too and the LA Lakers? Oh man. Oh, Cash is trying to be the FBI director. Oh, I did hear about that. They were trying to. I remember when he was mentioned as the FBI director, the establishment started freaking out. But I didn't know enough about him for me to care that much, because I knew, like, from my perspective, I felt like the FBI situation will ultimately how the FBI situation and the intelligence community in general would pan out would depend on what Tulsi does ultimately. So I guess that's why I was like not really paying that much attention to it, but I will now. Why don't I join the post-duopoly crew? Who is the post-duopoly crew? Who's that? I'm not really sure who you're referring to. Is this like an official YouTube channel? And I mean, my name is Duopoly Destroyer on Twitter, so like I feel like I'm already a part of the duopoly crew, post-duopoly crew. Hell, if anything, I feel like I was part of the original. I was part of the original post-duopoly people. 74 right now. Oh no, that's cold. That's for me, that's cold. 74 degrees cold. I know. Y'all can call me what you want to. I don't care. When it comes to cold weather, I'm a punk. I'm a punk when it comes to cold weather. I don't know why, but it's always been that way. Of course you a Laker fan. But I love MJ. Oh, yeah, I mean, of course. It's crazy thinking like as a UNC fan, like at the time, or even to this day, MJ as a UNC player was not the best player at UNC to play at UNC. Like that's wild to think about. He was not what people got in the NBA, that version of MJ. No one would have thought coming out of UNC, he would have become that, like the best player ever. Like he was great at UNC. He was not that guy. He didn't have a shot at all. That jump shot was broke. Brazil, if you would love to visit Brazil, man, look, you ain't never gonna leave. I'm telling you from personal experience, guys. You will never leave if you visit Brazil. My mom visited one time. My mom was like, look, well, if I could learn the language, because my mom was avid. Like, I'm not moving to Brazil. I'm like, all right, you say that now. Wait till you visit it one time, boy. She's like, well, if I could just learn the language, that would just be too hard. But I mean, I can figure it out, and you could translate for me while I'm learning. I'm like, you don't have to do much if you retire, because she could retire and live off of her retirement in Brazil and live a very great life, actually. And I was like, are you gonna be doing the studying and chilling on the beach? She was like, well, when you put it like that. I had another friend who visited once. He got a condo out down here. I have another friend in politics. He's a writer, a film producer. He spends 6 months of the year in between Rio and Sao Paulo. And he goes back to New York, and he goes back to New York to work, and he comes back to Brazil. He just prefers, and he really doesn't do anything out here. He just hangs out, goes to the beach, and works. Like, he don't do nothing. It's just Brazil is a vibe, bro. It really is. Nick, do dissidents and kick it. Oh, the post duopoly show. Oh yeah, I haven't. Oh, that's a good point. I think they invited me to go on once, and it was like a schedule issue because of so when y'all do y'all little time change, daylight savings time, Brazil does not change at all. So I'm 2 hours ahead of Eastern time, which is a little problematic when you're trying to schedule interviews, because that would make me 3 hours ahead of Central, right? Yeah, about 3 hours ahead of Central, and I think I'm like 4 or 5 hours ahead of Pacific. So it's a bitch and a half trying to schedule anything. It sucks. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. So that I think was the issue. But nah, they know I love those guys. I just got done talking to Kit yesterday, actually. I talked to Kit yesterday. I talked to Nick every day. So definitely want to get out. I would definitely want to go on there when I get an opportunity to, because those guys are dope. There's this one female I want to meet from Brazil. Nobody has one female they want to meet from Brazil, unless you only know one female from Brazil. I'm just saying. Because I damn sure ain't come here with the intention of getting married and having kids. But, female from Brazil. Got my ass just like that. That was quick. All right, man, let's get to the show started. Woo, man, look, I'm telling you, I ain't lying, y'all. You never want to leave. I promise you won't. I don't care. It's crazy to me, like, living in Brazil, because as much as you got people who struggle and you have, like, there's a class issue here for sure. Not as much as you would think. I think there's more of a pro-police state, anti-police state issue than anything, to be completely honest. And like some parts of Brazil can be dangerous, but like not. I personally feel like that shit is not really any different than like living in Miami, because Miami has dangerous parts and it has just really nice parts. But like the community here is just really dope. And if you're willing to put yourself out there, Brazilians are extremely helpful, very, very friendly. And I mean, the weather, no natural disasters helps. And if you're an American, you can work from home. I mean, there's no better place to work, dog. If you're not a fan of cooking, there's a breakfast place, not like a traditional black breakfast place, but like a Brazilian cafe on like every corner. Like 3 usually. Like I go pick up stuff for breakfast damn near every day. So because it's like walkable. So it's just a very nice, convenient, dope place to live, man. And Portuguese is such a beautiful language. Rio Portuguese can be hard to understand. And I think that, I don't know, some people say Portuguese is harder than Spanish, but I personally feel like Portuguese is easier than Spanish. I don't know why. I feel like because there's just so many different dialects of Spanish, bro. And like, it varies greatly. And I guess, I don't know. I like maybe basic Spanish compared to basic Portuguese might be easier, but then like you get into like the culture, like the idiomatic expressions and things like that. I feel like Portuguese is probably easier once you learn it. Like because they use them more they use idiomatic expressions more frequently. But you know, to each his own. But for me, I would definitely say Portuguese is easier to learn. If you could speak Spanish, you would do just fine in Brazil. Yes, but not for the reasons you think. If you can speak Spanish, it's unless you are a very fluent. Like I'm talking about, you got to be like, I mean, fluent. Not like you can like. I'm talking about you have to be grammatically fluent in Spanish to the point where it's like your brain's on automatic for you to be able to learn Portuguese. Otherwise, being able to speak Spanish while being in Brazil will be a hindrance for you if you're trying to learn Portuguese because your brain will, when it's your second language, it can mix up the Portuguese grammar and words with Spanish because not every Portuguese word that looks like a Spanish word means the same thing, nor are they used the same way grammatically. And the formation of sentences and things like that is different. So, Christian, what's going on? Yo, what's popping? What's going on with the heat wave in Rio? Was talking to my family in Colombia and they're telling me it's hot. Oh man, what's going on? It's fucking February, dog. This is what happens in Rio. It's summertime, dog. It's I don't know if you want to call it a heat wave or what, but now we cooking. We baking out here. I'm not gonna lie to you. We had to move our practices. Y'all know I'm a soccer coach. We had to move our practices to after 5 because we even had to move our games last week to the evening because it's hot as hell. And our kids, like the ground is so hot that they were having like their shoes were damn near burning. We had like 2 or 3 kids have their cleats break. The bottom of like the glue melted off of the damn cleat and the bottom broke off. Yeah, it's hot. It's hot for real. All right, let's get this show on the road, man. We out here. Got me talking. Y'all know y'all can't get me started on Brazil, bro. I love it. I love it. All right, man, we got an exciting show for you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into the For the People podcast. I am your humble host, Niko House. We got an exciting and probably hilarious show for y'all because the Democrats have been making, just asses of themselves. Not just Democrats, but people who at one point would have been referred to as leftists. I know. Bernie Sanders being on top of that list. David Hogg, the anti-gun but pro-war, now vice chair of the Democratic Party. Rachel Maddow having a freak out, damn near praying for insurrectionism. I don't know what other conclusion you can get to based off of what she said. And we're going to take a look at that. And somehow we've ended up in bizarro world where Bernie Sanders has fallen to the right of Trump when it comes to war and peace. Yeah, man, 2016, like I said, was a very, very, very long time ago. Longer than, I know it's only been 9 years, but it feels like it was way longer than that, boy, because this is crazy. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to check out a brief hotspot video that I put out, and then we going to talk about the stuff that's been going on the last couple of days, because, like I said, we've been living in bizarro world. We've been living in bizarro world. And y'all know me. Like, I'm not the type. I'm the type. Y'all know me. I'm gonna hold Trump accountable, y'all. But this ain't really been that weak for the most part, which is kind of crazy to say. Like last week, I had to get on Trump's ass for like the majority, really for 2 weeks straight. I was on Trump's ass. Like, and everybody was complaining, and some people were like, "Oh man, you got Trump derangement." No, I don't got Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, I've always been consistent. When Trump deserves credit, I give him credit. Whenever it's time to call him out, I call him the fuck out like everybody else. I don't know why. It's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's just facts. This week, it's been on the other side of that. He's been on the other side of that fact. Because dude calling out Zelensky, asking for peace, showing more empathy than Bernie Sanders, than any Democrat, really. Right? Like, what you want me to do? Stop being to the right of Donald Trump and you won't have these issues. Let's check out this hotspot video real quick, y'all. Amongst the peace talks between Russia and the United States, Zelensky has now accused Trump of living in a disinformation space. So in the last few days, Trump has actually accused Ukraine of starting the war between them and Russia,
which is objectively true, and Trump, along with Putin, have called for Ukraine to hold elections.
I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. We haven't had elections in Ukraine. Well, we have martial law, essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating, and where a country has been blown to smithereens.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think everybody kind of forgot that Ukraine basically turned into a dictatorship under Zelensky, and no one really talks about it. Now, in response to Trump's comments, he claims that Trump is living in a world of disinformation. Zelensky goes on to say that he doesn't even want to entertain the idea of approval ratings because that implies that an election is going to happen and there's not going to be one. Yeah, not sure you're helping your case there, bud. But he says he saw something recently that no one else is seeing except for him that shows he has a 57% approval rating. Oh, okay, Zelensky. So if you have a 57% approval rating, let's ask some of the media outlets to check and confirm just to verify that that's true. Oh, that's right. You got rid of literally every media outlet that criticizes you or challenges you in any way. Yes, the man who got rid of all media that criticizes him is actually accusing someone else of falling for disinformation. But you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Let's ask the other politicians from the other political parties how they feel and how their political party members feel about holding another election. Oh, shit. That's right. You got rid of every political party except for yours. Now, from what I heard from Biden and Zelensky and much of the West is that Putin is this crazy, evil, dictatorial figure. But Putin is the one calling for elections, while Zelensky is the one using ratings that no one can confirm to justify remaining a dictator. Now, I just find that extremely interesting and vaguely ironic. Oh, excuse me, did I say vaguely ironic? I mean, it is the literal definition of irony. And also, Zelensky, bro, do you really want to come out and attack the president of the only nation that will continue funding your war against Russia by insulting his intelligence effectively? Like, you can't win this war without the US. You can't even continue to fight without the US. You can't join NATO without the US's support, and they're not giving it to you. And let's be frank, after all this is said and done, it is probably only Trump who can save Zelensky's ass. But sure, Zelensky, attack and insult your only lifeline. Bold strategy, Chuck. Let's see how this works out for him. It's time for you to accept that this war is coming to an end. Russia's probably going to get everything they want. And Trump, although he may be stupid sometimes, he's not stupid enough to ignore the ramifications of a pissed off Russia and a Vladimir Putin. So maybe it's not a bright move to piss off the people who are effectively about to decide you and your country's destiny. Just saying.
Yeah, man. So that's somewhat of the gist of what's been going on the last couple of days. Now, I have said for quite some time that one of the reasons that there was this attempt on Trump's life, and by the way, I just find it very interesting that the FBI still has not really finished or concluded its investigation with that whole situation, right? Which is kind of bizarre. We haven't heard any news about that. Like, there's no leads, nothing. But I was very clear about that, right? I said, yeah, it's because of Trump's unpredictability, at least on Ukraine, at the bare minimum unpredictability. But, you know, we've heard Trump openly criticize the United States involvement in Ukraine for quite some time. But once again, this is Trump, so we never know where he's going to stand. And it looks like what I said to be true ended up, or what I said what was going to be true ended up being true. I said the moment Zelensky tries to step on Trump's toes, the moment that Trump feels like Ukraine is an economic burden that is not worth the cost, the moment that he pisses off Trump in a way that conflicts with Trump's ego, it's over for him. I said that. I've been saying, I'm like, I don't know which way it's going to fall, but I can tell you that if he pisses off Trump, it's not going to go the way he likes. And look what's happening. Yeah. So Trump called him a dictator. And I mean, like I said in the video, if you're banning political parties, if you're banning all sources of media that criticize you, he just announced, because Trump called him a dictator on True Social, he just announced that True Social is now banned in Ukraine. So in other words, once again, because they criticized you, because he criticized you on True Social and Trump is the owner, you banned another source of media. Not helping yourself beat the dictator allegations, my guy. I'm just saying. You're kind of proving our point. So Democrats have since lost their shit over Trump's comments. I'm going to show you some of Trump's comments that have actually been, dare I say, rational and level-headed.
Satellites. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions of people have unnecessarily died. And you can't bring a war to an end if you don't talk to both sides. You got to talk. They haven't been talking for 3 years. Satellites. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions of people have unnecessarily died. And you can't bring a war to an end if you don't talk to both sides. You got to talk. They haven't been talking for 3 years.
So I want y'all to think about that. Once again, that's some rational shit, guys. That's a rational ass statement. And the context of that, the important context of that is to remember, not only has Zelensky avoided talking to Putin, right? But remember, Blinken came out whenever they were asked, like, yo, so like, what's been your contact with Russia in order to help bring peace, to help end this war? Yeah, we don't talk to Russia. Oh, okay. Do you have like back channels, contacts that maybe you're having unofficial conversations with? Because like, yeah, like Ukraine's not going to win this war. Y'all are refusing to allow them to join NATO. It doesn't seem like y'all have a plan going forward other than to continue to give them money, right? So like, what about the back channels? Nope, not even back channels. So you expect to bring an end to this war without talking to Russia, and you also don't expect Zelensky to talk to Russia, and you also are not allowing Ukraine to join NATO. Yep, that's about right. Okay, hold on. Let's start it back over. How the hell is the war going to end when literally no one is talking to anybody except for the U.S. and Ukraine? And that's usually when Zelensky needs more Coke money. Trump is absolutely right. How are you going to bring peace to a war with two sides when the two sides won't talk to the other, and the one that's primarily funding the war also won't talk to the people they pissed off? Trump was absolutely right.
Just have elections is low in the real Ukrainian polls. I mean, how can you be high with every city is being demolished? It's hard to be high. Somebody said, oh, no, his polls are good. Give me a break. Every city is being demolished. They look like a demolition site, every single one of them. And the only thing he was really good at was playing Joe Biden like a fiddle. He played him like a fiddle. That's an expression we use, Yasser, to say that
I was saying it was the other way around.
It's pretty easy. A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast, or he's not going to have a country left. Got to move fast, because that war is going in the wrong direction. In the meantime, we're successfully negotiating an end to the war.
He said, in the meantime, since Zelensky don't want to do shit, I got it. Don't worry about it. That was a smooth transition. In the meantime, since he don't want to do his fucking job, I'll do it for him.
With Russia. Something I'll admit that only Trump is going to be able to do in the Trump administration. We're going to be able to do it. I think Putin even admitted that.
What did I tell y'all, man? There's only one thing consistent about Donald Trump. If it's going to please his ego, That's what he'll do. He's like, I just want to say, like, it's only the Trump administration that can bring peace in this situation. And look, we're doing it. Yeah, man. Oh man, that part of Trump's person, you gotta respect it, dog, because it's like he does not really care. Like he's like, yep, I'm gonna take full credit for this. He's not humble about it. And you know what? If you're gonna actually bring peace to the region and also better relations between us and a nuclear superpower who has a military that would assuredly bust our ass and has allies that would also bust our ass, not just militarily, but economically as well, if we tested them. I'm glad. You know what? If you want to boast about that, go ahead, my guy. Go ahead, please. If you are going to bring peace between us and Russia and normalize relations and open up channels of communication, please. I don't care. Boast all you want to. I'm perfectly fine with that because this shit sounds more rational than the stuff that we've been hearing from Democrats. Okay. Once again, like he brought up the poll, right? Because he said that a real poll had him at 4% or something like that. I mean, that's believable. I mean, y'all picking up people from the mall and dragging them into the military of Ukraine, right? Like y'all seen the videos. I could believe easily that he's at 4%. The city's destroyed, or the country's destroyed, excuse me. And it was unnecessary. Zelensky is claiming that he is actually at 57%. And he said that a poll that he's seen, not that he likes to entertain polls. He literally said, I don't like to talk about polls because that implies that we're going to have an election. He said that. But he said, if I saw a poll that has me at 57%. Oh, interesting. Okay. What do other polls and what do media outlets say about that? No, can we confirm that with somebody? And it's like 57% against who? Like if he were to run in an election, for example, right? 57% against who? What political party? They don't exist anymore. You dismantled them all. There is no comparison. It's like, would you prefer Zelensky or ... His competition is ellipsis. It doesn't exist. Dictator. Just saying. So I want to show y'all some more Trump's comments. Just to show you just how ridiculous it is that he seems to be than the Democrats.
Resurrect that deal? Is there anything that you can do?
I think I'm going to resurrect it. You know, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to resurrect it, or things are not going to make him too happy. And look, it's time for elections. They haven't had an election in a long time. It's wonderful to say, you know, we can't have an election, but it's time for elections. And it's also time to find out what happened with all the money, because he made the statement that half of it, he doesn't know where it is or something like that. And I'd like to find out all the money that we've been sending to Ukraine, where is it? And I can tell you we're doing very well with Russia. We're going to do something with Russia that he was unable to do. We can make a deal with Russia to stop the killing of, you know, potentially additional millions of people. The soldiers are being just wiped out on both sides, wiped out. It's horrible. You know, the weaponry today is so powerful, so, you know, strong, that it's killing a lot of soldiers. And I don't want to see soldiers. They're Russian and they're Ukrainian. I don't want to see those soldiers killed. They have mothers and fathers. They have sisters and brothers. I don't want to see them killed.
Bro, never thought I'd see the day that Donald Trump showed more genuine empathy than Bernie Sanders. But that's where we're at, guys. Somebody said pro-communist Russia. Bro, Russia isn't even a communist country. I don't know if you know that. They're capitalists like a motherfucker. I don't know if you know that, but okay. Also, you know, while you're here, do you actually know why you don't like Russia? 'Cause I'm always curious about people who claim they don't like Russia, or they like attack you as being pro-Putin. What does that actually mean? Because since you're here, I would like for you to enlighten us. It's like, what does that actually mean? Like when y'all attack somebody for being pro-Putin? Like when you say somebody like pro-Russia, do you mean like pro the country who's never actually invaded any African nation or tried to colonize any African nation or Middle Eastern nation or any nation in the global South for that matter? Like, because if that's what you mean, then like I guess that's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely pro that. I'm pro not invading other people's countries. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm pro helping out allies in the global South against Western imperialism as well. I'm definitely pro that as well, for sure. And miraculously, I don't know how it manages to happen, but like whenever Putin helps out a nation fighting against Western imperialism, once the job is done, he manages to not overthrow them and take over their resources after, unlike the United States, or let them, or he doesn't let them fall into an economic, cultural, and societal abyss like the United States did in Libya. So, I mean, I guess if that's what you mean by like pro Putin and pro Russia, I mean, like, yeah, I'm pro anybody who does that type of stuff. I am anti-imperialist. That's for damn sure. Yeah, I'm definitely pro Putin who hates Netanyahu and is not funding a genocide. I'm definitely, if that's what you mean, then I guess. I don't know what you mean by, like, y'all say pro Putin and y'all don't do any follow-ups. So I need some follow-ups. Y'all can't, that's like, if you say like, I'm pro Trump, I'm not pro Trump. I'm not pro any US politician for that matter. But I guess I would kind of at least know what you meant to some degree. Like, but like when y'all say pro Putin or pro Russia, what does that actually mean? Because it sounds like you're trying to imply like you're somebody's pro-Soviet Union and therefore we should hate them, which would mean that you're buying into McCarthyist propagandist talking points, which have been debunked on a molecular level. I mean, the CIA debunked their own talking points. Y'all are aware of that, right? They literally admitted that they lied about Stalin so that they could justify taking him out. And they could justify all their vitriol against Russia and justify going to war or entering countries that would ally with Russia at the time. They admitted it. And you don't have to be a communist to know that. Just do some fucking research. I mean, the only reason that we had a Cold War was because the United States under Truman broke their deal after Russia ended the war and basically put their lives on the line by the millions to end the war. Without them, the war wouldn't have ended. Well, I say that because the United States wouldn't have stopped funding Hitler, which also gets, left out. I don't know what's up with the United States and their history of funding Nazis. It's almost like the United States is ran by Nazis, but whatever. Let's continue. Let's check out Bernie Sanders' speech and compare it to what Trump said. Because this he's lost his mind. I'm convinced.
Thanks, everybody.
Democrats, I don't know what they have on him. I don't know what it is. But now every time, like Democrats, or matter of fact, the establishment in general, whenever they feel like they're losing ground in whatever PR campaign they're waging at the time, they call Bernie Sanders like we give a fuck what he has to say still. Because the majority of us do not. If we did, perhaps Kamala Harris would have won. Right? But like, we will know. I mean, I stopped taking him seriously a long time ago. But once Bernie Sanders decided to call Joe Biden the FDR, like a modern day FDR, that he was laughed off the stage. That was it. I mean, and I don't like FDR, but we know what he meant when he called Joe Biden FDR. He was talking about FDR, the lionized Democratic socialist hero that everybody believes him to be, even though that's not who he is. So once Bernie Sanders said that shit more than one time, and he was not speaking ironically, like he was laughed off the stage, no one takes him seriously. That was it for him, which could probably be demonstrated by all the races he did not help win by campaigning for people. No one gives a shit about him or his little cronies anymore. That's just facts. So let's check out what he got to say and why nobody takes him seriously anymore.
Everybody, for joining me to discuss a very, very serious issue. Yesterday, we witnessed an extremely sad moment in American history. We saw the President of the United States aligning himself with the dictator of Russia, Vladimir Putin, to undermine the independence of Ukraine and its democracy.
Yeah, y'all hear how that shit starts out, guys? Like how that started. He says the dictator. Y'all know who's never actually postponed elections for any reason? Go ahead, take a wild guess. Putin. You know who's never declared martial law in Russia? Go ahead, take a wild guess. Putin. You know who's not already claiming that he plans on postponing elections again? Putin. You know who's doing all of that? Postponing elections, declared martial law, because he knew that elections couldn't be held? Zelensky. You know who hasn't banned media outlets in Russia? Putin. Now, other media outlets have banned themselves, but Putin hasn't, banned entire political parties. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? They have an active legislative body in Russia. They have local governments and local elections in Russia. What are we talking about? But okay, Bernie, protect the democracy. Bro, since when has Ukraine been a democracy? Yeah, I think it was 2019 when Zelensky was actually democratically elected, right? After there was a coup. So there was a coup first in 2014. Like Ukraine's only ever had spurts of democracy, and it never lasts more than a couple years because the United States usually gets involved. They have spurts of democracy, and then it's a banana republic. Pretending that Ukraine is like this bastion of democracy is gaslighting to the highest degree, and he knows it. But hey, whatever. As long as you get to bash on Putin, right?
Let's be clear. Trump is showing us that he sees one of the world's most brutal dictators as his friend and our longtime democratic allies in Europe as his enemies.
Why does he keep saying democratic allies? If they were our allies, why do we have to overthrow them in 2014? Out of curiosity. And was it very democratic of us to do so? And why does Bernie always throw out brutal dictator? Where do people? I'm telling y'all, we've entered this era of motherfuckers just saying words and not the words are detached from their meaning. Like he's like, oh, he's one of the most brutal dictators. Well, he's not a dictator because he's been elected multiple times, but all right. So what makes him brutal? Because I want to be very clear about something. If Putin was the brutal dictator that they claim him to be, we would have already been at war with Russia for the shit that the United States has pulled. Do you know how much restraint he showed by not invading Ukraine sooner? Because they were testing him long before 2022. And he said, you know what? I'm going to show restraint, but if they cross that red line with NATO, that's it. And that was y'all who did that. You're cheering on the dictator. The brutal dictator literally dragging people off the street to put them in the Ukrainian military. Killing generations of Ukrainian men. Using neo-Nazi battalions to do his dirty work. Come on, bro.
He wants a world that is safe for authoritarians and oligarchs, but extremely dangerous for democracies.
By the way, do y'all know one of the biggest complaints against Putin, just as an aside, it's because he actually he brought charges against one of Russia's biggest oligarchs for fraud and embezzlement. And whenever he held this oligarch accountable, they attacked him for it. I'm bullshit you not. It's a true story. But he wants to make the world safe for oligarchs. No, Bernie, that's your party. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. That's your party. Come on. Come on. You know who you work for. Mr. Joe Biden. If somebody wants to give me $200,000, of course I'll take a meeting with them in the Oval Office. That guy? Okay.
It will not surprise you when I tell you that Trump is lying, as he so often does. Yesterday, Trump said that Ukraine started the war. That's not true. Russia invaded Ukraine twice, first in 2014 and then again in 2022. Right now, Russia occupies about 20% of Ukraine. Since Putin's horrific invasion, over 1 million people have been killed or injured. Every single day, Russia continues to rain down hundreds of missiles and drones on Ukrainian cities. Putin's forces have massacred civilians and kidnapped thousands of Ukrainian children, bringing them back to Russian re-education camps.
Where the what? Where is he getting that from? That line was crazy to me. I'm like, what the kidnapping children? What are you talking about, bro? Bro, he sounds like what Democrats claim people who talk about Hillary Clinton and their, proximity to suicides from people that, worked for them at one point. Like, he sounds like what they claim them to be. But it's actually conspiratorial. Like, you sound fucking crazy, bro. You sound like you've been watching too many movies on like Netflix stereotyping Russians. Where I've not read that nor heard that actually until this moment. That is an insane claim. You need to back that shit up with something. And I ain't talking about Ukrainian media that literally is going to say whatever Zelensky tells them to say. And also, he says that they invaded Ukraine in 2014. They put their troops on the border of Kiev. I believe it was Kiev. And was it because of what was going on with the Donbass? It was because of Crimea. It was because Crimea voted to be independent, and then Ukraine and Kiev were like, "Yeah, we're gonna bomb the shit out of y'all until y'all change your minds." And to protect the independence of Crimea, that is why Putin put troops on the border. He had to. Because Crimea obviously didn't have enough to protect themselves at the time. They just voted to be independent. So, it was to protect a group of people who were at, that thing that he keeps mentioning in his video, but clearly doesn't know the definition of. A country that engaged in democracy. They were like, yeah, we want to be independent of Ukraine. Actually, no, I apologize. They said they wanted to join Russia. That was what they said. Crimea wanted to join Russia. So Kiev started attacking them. Neo-Nazi battalions, like the Azov battalion, started attacking them. And obviously in 2022, maybe if y'all didn't work so hard to destroy the Minsk agreement and cheer for Ukraine to join NATO only to dick tease them, that's also wild. You're like, yeah, man. Y'all should be like, yeah, man, fuck the other side, guys. Like, go over there and poke the biggest dude in the eye. And we got your back. We got your back. You with us, right? And then they go and poke the big dude in the eye. And then whenever Zelensky ran back, they already scattered. They're like, hey, man, we don't even know that dude. We don't even know him, man. Y'all, you can kick his ass if you want to. And he's still cheering from the back, from behind the building. Around. You got this, Zelensky. We got your back from way back here, but we still got your back, though. That's basically what happened. They throw some stuff out there for him. They throw a shoe, a sandal, a butter knife, help him out. It would be really helpful if you guys could actually come help, though. This dude's really big and he has a bunch of friends with him. Yeah, we got you, man. Just give us a little bit. We're actually drinking some tea right now. So, tea time is really important. That's basically what happened.
These atrocities led the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant for Putin in 2023 as a war criminal. a war criminal. Further, Trump called Ukrainian President Zelensky a dictator. That's not true either. Zelensky won 75% of the vote in free elections. In fact, his approval rating is higher than Trump's.
He's forgetting to talk about the fact that that election was 2019. And he's also conveniently forgetting to talk about the fact that Zelensky literally said he has zero intentions on allowing elections to take place. And everybody knows, like, in my opinion, in the middle of a war, like, that's exactly when elections should be able to take place. We didn't suspend elections in the US when FDR was president. And people believed that what FDR was doing was just, and he won. Okay? So if Zelensky is just and he is doing a good job and he's doing what's in the best interest of the nation, why are you terrified to hold elections? And why are the Democrats cheering on, or at least ignoring, the lack of democracy here?
Midst of a brutal war, Ukraine's parliament continues to function and free and unfettered political debate takes place.
Bro, it's just fucking lying.
Trump claimed that our European allies have done little to support Ukraine in its fight against Putin's invasion. He said the United States has contributed 3 times more than Europe. But that's another lie. In fact, Europe has provided more aid to Ukraine than the United States.
Trump has exaggerated. Europe has actually done a lot to help Ukraine, to be honest. But they have not done more than the US. Like, we do know that. That's I'm not even going to entertain that shit. Everybody remembers how billions. You need another 8 billion? Here you go. You need another 15 billion? Here you go. You need another 10 billion? Here you go. Come on, bro. Come on. Like, Europe has done so much to piss off Putin in their war, in their attempt to support Ukraine, that they're paying the price economically. And all Western Europeans are feeling that shit. Yeah. Sanctions don't go one way, bitch. Right? It got real cold last winter. Was it 2023? 2020? Yeah, it got real cold. Didn't it? Yeah. I remember. So, yeah, he's right. Europe has helped Ukraine. But, like, okay, I don't know what's to brag about helping, like, dictators and neo-Nazis. I guess it's a bragging point, but all right.
But it's not just that Trump is lying again. That's not new. It's what this all reveals about where he wants to take our country, and in fact, the entire world. Trump is cozying up to Vladimir Putin. So who is Putin? And what kind of world does he want to build?
Let's find out. Mm-hmm.
Putin is a dictator who crushed Russia's movement toward democracy after the end of the Cold War.
I don't even know where to start with that shit. First of all, Putin was elected. And it wasn't, and to be completely honest, it wasn't actually Putin who is crushing Russia's movement toward democracy. Many Russians actually credit him with saving Russia after, somebody gonna have to remind me who the name is. Somebody in my group chat gonna have to remind me. I want to say it was Gorbachev or Khrushchev. Who was fucking Russia over by basically being a capitalist United States puppet president? One of those two. I want to say it was Khrushchev. Don't quote me on that. But Putin was who saved them after he actually took Russia and gave it back to Russians. That's what happened. Like, just saying. That, like, it's just weird that he, like, kind of skipped. Oh, like, bro, I don't. Whatever. I'm not gonna get. That's just crazy. I'm just. Once again, you're comparing Putin to, y'all know, like, right now Ukraine has sent soldiers to support terrorist organizations in Burkina Faso. They sent soldiers to support terrorist groups in Syria, Niger. I mean, we talking about the kind of world presidents want to build, and you can't compare the two. Just saying. But whatever.
Russia holds sham elections every 6 years where Putin wins 90% of the vote, and authorities don't even try to hide their ballot stuffing.
So we're supposed to accept on its face the claim that Zelensky has a higher, he's polling higher than Trump is. This claim of 57%. We're supposed to accept that on its face, even though there's no other media to challenge him in Ukraine to confirm that poll. There's no other pollsters that, I mean, not that we're allowed to see anyway. There's no other pollsters to verify and re-verify that. Okay. But he throws up this 90%, like, or maybe like he throws up this 90% like it's unrealistic that the dude who has helped carry Russia through a world dominated by the United States and just Western imperialists and in general, a post-NATO world, right? Or not a post-NATO, a NATO-ran world. He's helped stabilize their economy. He's helped diversify their economy. Yeah, I mean, this is the dude who prepared so far in advance for NATO to make a fucking move that NATO tries to get Ukraine to start a war with Russia. And the moment Russia reacts the way that we knew they would, they try to sanction Russia, thinking it was going to hurt Russia's economy. But Putin was so prepared, so far in advance, that Russia's economy got a boost when the entire world tried to sanction them in the middle of a war. Yeah, it's very, very perceivable to believe that despite the fact that people might have issues with Putin domestically, that he has 90% of the vote. I mean, anybody who's ever heard him speak can see exactly how he would get 90% support. I mean, you don't question the 75% of the vote that Zelensky got. Just saying. And I'm not even saying that Zelensky didn't get 75% of the vote, because at the time, the circumstances were very different. Zelensky was running on ousting corruption. He was actually running, I know it sounds crazy to say, but Zelensky was running as a leftist. That man put a Woodrow Wilson, not as a leftist, but like I'm gonna keep y'all out of war. We're gonna end this corruption. We're gonna do everything, by the book. We're gonna work with Russia. He said that. He was running on working with Russia. He was trying to normalize relations between Russia and Ukraine. Yeah. We saw how that went.
There is no freedom of speech or free media in Putin's Russia. Protests are violently suppressed. Tens of thousands of people are imprisoned for protesting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Political dissidents are harassed or thrown into jail. The bravest, people like Alexei Navalny, are killed outright. Hundreds of thousands of Russians have fled Putin's brutal regime since his invasion of Ukraine.
Man, where is that? Where are those facts? First of all, they fled Russia. Where'd they go? They've made, how many countries have made it harder than ever for Russians to get in? Like, why would you want to go run to a Western country that's literally like they're discriminatory and prejudiced as fuck against Russians? Why would you want to run to those countries? There's nobody. If they escaped Russia, if they did escape Russia, like it was probably one of those border countries that Ukraine bombed. Border states, excuse me, that Ukraine bombed. But what? Where are you getting these numbers from? Hundreds of thousands of Russians have escaped. It's like saying, oh, look at hundreds of thousands of people have escaped Cuba. Yeah, but no, right? Yeah, people have left Cuba because of the crippling sanctions. And they want to be safe from the sanctions and the economic attacks and, the chance that their leader could be assassinated at any moment. Because they're a lot closer to the United States and Russia. Russia's a little bit more protected right? They have a stronger military, a stronger democracy in the sense that it's a lot harder to corrupt. And a lot of people credit that to Putin. I mean, if you have a long track record of fighting against Western imperialism, those people tend to win elections. I don't know if y'all noticed that. It happened with Evo Morales, right? It happens with Maduro. This is like the lowest. I think this was like the lowest. This last election for Maduro was like the lowest, and I think it was like he still busted everybody's ass. Like that was like the lowest amount of votes he ever got, or percentage of votes, excuse me. And it was still like a landslide. It happened with Fidel Castro. It happens. It happened with Assad. Leaders that are known to stand up to Western imperialism, especially in countries that have succumbed or been victims of Western imperialism for a very long time, they tend to win elections by a large margin. That's a historic fact. Just saying.
But Putin has maintained control in his country by offering Russia's oligarchs a simple deal. If you give me absolute power, I'll let you steal as much as you want from the Russian people. And that's why in a country where many are struggling economically, Russian oligarchs have stashed trillions of dollars in offshore tax accounts.
Yeah, when Putin tries to hold them accountable, y'all attack him for it. What the? What the? Bro, it's like, it's so bad. Wow. Okay.
That is
like, and I'm I'm amazed that Bernie is saying all this while he was advocating and propping up the Biden administration, who was literally working for the oligarchs. Right? Like, Biden himself is a fucking oligarch. Are you kidding me, bro? Do you not understand the it's a lack of self-awareness for me, guys. Like, you just told us to vote for the hair sniffer who bows down to billionaires, who was also demented, which is a whole different issue. Then you try to get us to vote for Kamala, the oligarch's choice. And you're like, yeah, but Putin likes oligarchs. But you didn't have a problem with people liking oligarchs before. And of course, I believe that every society has a problem with oligarchies. Like every first world society has a problem with oligarchs. Like that's just a fact of life. If you're a successful country, you're probably going to have oligarchs. Even, developing nations have oligarchs. But like, bro, are you really going to compare the United States and the way that our presidents prop up oligarchs versus Russia, who, whenever Putin tries to hold oligarchs accountable, like, y'all literally attack him for it? Just saying. When China holds oligarchs accountable, y'all attack them for it. Like, so it's okay when you do it, but hell, what am I saying? We don't hold oligarchs accountable. What the fuck? I can't say it's okay. So it's okay when the U.S. does it? No, because they don't ever do it. I'm gonna let him finish. We're gonna
is the Russian leader
move on
that Trump admires. That is the Russian oligarchy that he supports. But that is not the perspective of the American people. We know, and we are proud of, the fact that the United States of America is the longest standing democracy in the world. We know that many hundreds of thousands of brave Americans.
Hold on. Sorry, I know I was going to let it finish. But did this motherfucker who got cheated 2 times in a row say that we're the longest standing democracy in the world? Did he really just say that? This is the same man who cheers on FDR all the time, always forgetting to mention the fact that the vice president of 2 terms was not the vice president of the 3rd term. Henry Wallace, I'm speaking about. That's what I'm talking about. He was not the president of the 3rd term because the Democratic Party stole that shit from him, and FDR didn't do shit about it, and therefore we ended up with Truman, 2 atom bombs, and the CIA instead of Henry Wallace, who would have desegregated the country, who would have ended all U.S. involvement in foreign conflicts. would put pressure on Great Britain and other Western powers to decolonize in Africa. That democracy? That long as bro, what? Come on.
Over the years, have fought and died to defend democracy. We also know that our allies in the world are those countries that believe in democracy, not authoritarianism.
Hold on. So real quick, Saudi Arabia. Hey, when the last time Saudi Arabia held an election, guys? Out of curiosity. When's the last time the UAE held elections? Out of curiosity. Bro, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, bro? Like, you just saying shit now. Like, you are blatantly lying. It's just weird to watch people that always call Trump a liar, right? I'm not saying that Trump doesn't lie. Of course he does. He's a politician. He's a billionaire. And you can't be either one of those things without lying. However, they grandstand as if they are better than him, as if they don't lie as much, if not more. In the case of Bernie over the last several years, he's lied more than Trump has to protect the oligarchy that he's supposedly critical of. Like, we believe in democracy, not authoritarianism, except for all those cases like right now. I mean, we don't even have to talk about Saudi Arabia. Just once again, when's Zelensky planning on holding another election, guys? When is he planning on holding another election? When? When is that happening? Do we have an estimation? We have an estimated date? No, I didn't think so. Okay. Like, we support democracy, not authoritarianism, except for in those cases that we specifically support authoritarianism in direct contrast, in direct contradiction with democracy to preserve our self-interest. We haven't met an authoritarian that we didn't like. I'm not saying we, but the U.S. government. When has the U.S. government met an authoritarian that they didn't like, guys? Come on. Seriously. When? Never. It's never happened. And they've also never met a truly democratic government that they actually supported. Like a truly democratic government.
In this critical moment in our history, I hope that every American, regardless of political perspective, will stand tall and say yes to democracy, no to oligarchy, and no to authoritarianism. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, like I said, we now live in a world where Bernie Sanders is actually to the right of Donald Trump on war and peace. Trump is willing to speak with adversaries if it means bringing peace and ending bloodshed. Bernie is willing to prop up dictatorships and authoritarians as long as he gets to own Putin. Because you know what my real question is? Like, okay, Bernie, let's just assume, which is wrong, but let's just say like every single thing is true that he said. Okay. So what's your plan, Bernie? What's your goal? How do we end the war? Is that the goal? Like, because what was the point of this speech? What was the point of putting that video out? I would like to ask him that. If I could ask him one thing, it ain't even like, how dare you just spew a bunch of fucking lies and say we live in a democracy after you yourself was cheated, stole a bunch of our fucking money, didn't even fight the shit. We ain't gonna get into that. Okay, let's just say everything you said was true. Okay, so what's your goal, Bernie? What is your goal? What is your way to end the war? Because like I said before, y'all weren't even talking to Russia. I don't know how you expected to broker peace when you're not talking to one of the warring parties. And there's only two parties that are warring. You're like, yeah, we're not going to talk to Russia. Okay. So how are you going to end the war? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what is your goal, Bernie? Because Trump made his goal very clear. He wants to end the war. He wants to broker peace. And if he can get a little bit of change out of that, he would like that. That was very clear too. He very well might. But like, we know Trump's goal. What is your goal? What is it? Because nothing that you said in that video has a conclusion where Russia and Ukraine stop fighting. There's nothing in your video that you said where the conclusion is lives are saved. If anything, your video could only serve to increase tensions between the United States and Russia. And that could lead to potentially more war, more bloodshed. So like, what is your goal? What was the point of that video? What did you expect the outcome to be? Does anybody have an answer? What was I don't know why he put that video out other than be like, ha, we hate Putin and Trump likes Putin and therefore like we should hate Trump. Like I don't know what was the point of all that? It's irrational. It's psychotic to put that video out because when you do any time that we do like when I put out a hotspot video, for example, you know what I formulate, I look up topics, and then I look up the details, and I always ask myself, okay, so what was the point of you doing this? You get what I'm saying? Like, what was the point of this video? Because that helps me do my research. It helps me understand what I'm trying to convey and find the words for it. And also, that's how you should approach everything. If you're going to talk about something, if you're going to give a speech about something, that should be the point. What was he thinking when he sat down he wrote that shit down on paper and didn't think, maybe I should make sure that there's like a point to this before I start talking out of my ass for 5 minutes. Because that's what happened. Jesus Christ. Bernie, you are a shitbag. You are a shit human being, bro. Y'all look at this tweet from him. I'll pull it up for y'all. Winston Churchill was right. Democracy is the worst form of government except for all those other forms that have been tried. Too many Americans have fought and died defending democracy. We must stand with our European allies against the authoritarianism of Putin and Trump. Are you kidding me, bro? First of all, Winston Churchill is a piece of shit. He was a racist, warmongering piece of shit. And ironically, if I'm not mistaken, during World War II, I think Winston Churchill canceled elections. Hold on, let me verify that. I want to make sure I'm not crazy because I'm pretty sure, ironically, Winston Churchill canceled elections during World War. Let me check that out. I'm gonna verify that because if that's true, like, and he actually uses Churchill. I see they're talking about how he got beat after World War II. In 1945, it seemed a foregone conclusion that Churchill and his Conservative Party would, of course, I always forget that Churchill was a fucking neocon on top of all of that. And people like Bernie Sanders, who consider themselves to be leftists, always quote him as if he was some Democratic leftist champion. It is fucking bizarre. But that, like, every single leader of Western nations have seemed to be lionized like that if they were part of World War II. And everybody kind of seems to conveniently forget that every leader of Western nations was quite literally they were partially to blame for World War II happening, if not directly to blame, because they allowed Nazism to take place. They literally funded the shit. Where they didn't fund it, they ignored it. Where they didn't ignore it, they were directly or indirectly sponsoring it. Like, y'all just, like, they're like, yeah, man, so Hitler just killed a bunch of people, took over the Russian or the German government, but y'all trying to do some Olympics there? I heard like the Olympic, like Belgium Olympic, would it be nice, right? It would be really cool to do some Olympics in Nazi Germany. I mean, like, I guess it was cool that Jesse Owens was allowed to run because Hitler just happened to hate Jews more than black people at the time. But like, it's weird how that part of the history gets left out when we talk about Jesse Owens. Oh, okay. It says no election had taken place during the war. The last general election was 1935. Yeah, so I was right. It was 10 years. So they suspended elections. So like hurt Churchill, and he got punished for it. The very next election, he got punished for it. You think that might have something to do with the fact that Zelensky refused to hold elections? Might have something to do with it. I'm just saying. Come on, bro. Like, and too many Americans have fought and died defending democracy. I mean, if I'm gonna be completely honest, as a former soldier, no. The problem is too many Americans have fought and died thinking that they were defending democracy while they were actually overthrowing general and legitimate democracies. If we're going to be real. And that is really the shame. Because I know they don't think we have a democracy here, because we don't. I hope people don't think we have free speech here. I mean, shit, one of my biggest complaints and my biggest gripes about Trump right now was that utter disgrace to the First Amendment that he passed, or that executive order that he did, punishing anti-Semitism. Like, can you have a democracy without free speech? Even if we did have free speech, which we don't, but even if we did, yeah, we have. Okay, so let me rephrase it. We have more free speech than some countries have. That is not we have free speech, point blank, period. And the two should not be confused. Just because we have some free speech doesn't mean we have absolute free speech. And our Constitution was very clear that free speech was supposed to be absolute. But like to have Bernie Sanders of all people like pretend as if the US is this bastion of democracy after we watched him get bent over the fucking pole and get rammed with no lubrication 2 elections straight and then ask for more, basically. It's mighty audacious of him. And it's an insult to everyone who watch democracy. Or no, I won't say democracy get trampled on, because that would insinuate we were already living in democracy. But his elections did expose that we were not living in a democracy, and we had been lied to for decades, at least decades. We had been fooled. We had been bamboozled. And we just didn't know it. And his election was largely responsible for making that clear. And he's like, yeah, but democracy. And then he's going to quote Winston Churchill, who was like, yeah, man, fuck elections. We got a war going on. Like I said, it would be maybe more justifiable if that was a consistent pattern across the board, but it was not. The U.S. held elections. That's how FDR won 3 times. He had to run during a war. He had to run during a war. During a draft, people. During a war that was not very popular at first. It did become, once Pearl Harbor was attacked, yeah, people got on board, but right? Like, it's kind of hard to make that argument when, like, even if you would have postponed it during like raids and stuff like, because there was like points of England being raided. Okay, cool, but like, it's not just England that votes, if I'm not mistaken, and the UK is a very big place, but he suspended elections. So like postponing it even might have been justifiable depending on what the circumstances are. However, That's not really a good example to use. I'm sorry. If anything, democracy is more important during times of war. Because if your leader is not steering you in the right direction, you need to be able to hold them accountable. Right? You need to be able to get them on up out of there. It's extremely important. Hell, you can make an argument that, I mean, even though we're not at war with Russia and Iran and China, I mean, shit, we were pretty close. It seemed like it was about to pop off, right? I know a lot of people, some people felt like Joe Biden might not hold elections. Some people felt like that, or he was going to come up with an excuse, like with the last minute, like because if we would have went to war with Russia last minute, some people were saying that there's a chance we won't even have elections. And given what we had witnessed so far, it was justifiable to believe that. But if we were to go to war with Russia or China or whoever, it would have been even more important to hold elections. Because we all knew, especially in Joe Biden's case, why he would want to go to war with Russia on behalf of Ukraine. We all knew. We saw the Hunter Biden shit. We saw the hearings. We've seen the documents. We know about Burisma. We've seen the video of Joe Biden bragging about withholding aid from Ukraine until they fired the prosecutor that was investigating his son. We've seen all of it. We know about the Atlantic Council and everybody involved in Ukraine. We know about the 2014 Maidan coup. We know about all that. So if he would have been the person to be like, yeah, we're not going to hold elections because we're going to war with Russia, we were like, oh, hold up, real quick. Fuck that. We're going to hold elections right now. Because you, of all people, should not be making that decision. Conflict of interest would be an understatement. So it's the same thing with Zelensky. For those people in Ukraine, right now, elections, like, that is like extremely important, would be very, very useful to fix their situation. Maybe perhaps with somebody who, I don't know, is willing to talk to somebody when you claim you want peace. Like, hey, man, I want to end this war. I want to end this war, and I want, a generally amicable outcome for all parties involved. But I'm not going to fucking talk to the other side. Like, that's insane. Especially when the other side is like the first or second biggest military power in the world. Once again, we all talked about this from the jump. We're like, I don't know why people think this is going to turn out in any way other than a massacre. There are Russian soldiers dying. That's true. It ain't nothing compared to what's happening to Ukrainians. Russians haven't had a drafted soul. And Russians are fighting on multiple fronts. They're not even fighting just Ukraine. At least they weren't. So like Russia can look over here, and still bust Ukraine's ass without even going deep into their bag of their military arsenal. Like we do know that. We all saw this coming. This is the only result that there was going to be, and it's just weird to me. I can't believe that they thought there was going to be another outcome. I don't know how could you have concluded that? Do you think that the establishment really deluded themselves into believing that Ukraine would even break even after this war? Oh man, Soul said cocaine is a powerful drug. Ain't it though? And all of Washington must have been on it if they thought there was going to be any other result. Y'all want to see Rachel Maddow has lost her mind. Y'all know anytime Rachel Maddow got a chance to talk about Putin, oh, it's going to be good. That woman, we would think that Putin stole her puppy the way Rachel Maddow be talking about that, man. It's hilarious. All of a sudden they care about authoritarianism whenever it comes to Putin or Trump. So
repeatedly and eerily and in a very out of character way tells the American people he is not allowed to discuss that relationship or his communications with that leader. The political reality of this administration is going to be shaped by whether or not the people who oppose him strongly enough and effectively enough. The political reality of this administration and this presidency will be determined by whether the people who voted for him are horrified enough by what they have wrought that they regret it. And
are y'all horrified by peace? Y'all better be horrified by this idea of two countries ending war with each other. You better be horrified by the idea that a war that has killed a generation of Ukrainians could come to an end. You better be horrified by an idea that the billions of your tax dollars that was going to support neo-Nazis will no longer go to support neo-Nazis. I hope y'all horrified enough.
Are willing to act differently and to speak out about their regret.
Regret about what? Like, I mean, if we're going to be real, like, I consider obviously Jill Stein an option, but like, if we're going to be real, there are two options: we're Biden and Trump. Do you really think, like, if I was a Trump voter, I wouldn't regret voting for Trump at this point compared to Biden? Like, whatever just happened, still better than what would have got with Biden. It's still better than what we would have got with Biden. Still, like, even with the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, like, I don't believe, because we are, I mean, like I said, I can only go off the 4 years of proof that we have. Trump was a problem on Israel. He didn't fund the genocide, though. Like, building the parking lot after you destroyed all the houses is not as bad as destroying all the houses. Oh, by the way, the people actually were like in the houses when you destroyed them. That's not, yeah, it's still ethnic cleansing, but like, come on, bro. It's still, as bad as it isn't as bad as the actual genocide that was funded. If we're going to be real about it. So like, what regret is she talking about? If I'm a Trump supporter and my only comparison in my mind is like Trump versus Biden, is that a comparison? Right now, given what we know? It's like, nope. If anything, they've been emboldened. Rubio's out here talking about making peace with China. Trump is trying to broker peace with Russia, opening channels to talk with the foreign adversary if it means brokering peace with the country, and also fixing the economy of, I don't know, like the whole fucking world. That's what's at stake right now. The economy is broken largely because of this war. Why would you regret voting for that? There are other reasons to regret voting for Trump, but like, once again, that's in a vacuum. That is not by comparison, because by comparison, Trump voters are more emboldened because Biden was so bad, and they seem to keep forgetting that. We watched this man give pardons to everybody, including his family. He's like, just in case y'all try to hold my family accountable for any of the corruption that we participated in, yeah, let me go ahead and give a future pardon. How the fuck did that even work? I didn't even know that was possible. If Don would have did that with Don Jr. for whatever reason, which he didn't have to do, but if he would have did that with Ivanka, oh, they would have, bro, we would still be hearing about it today, but it never happened. So, like, I feel like Trump's voters are coming out on the winning end of this little feud between the duopoly, right? Let's be real.
The reality of this presidency and this administration will be determined in some part by whether or not Republican officials realize that their own survival as politicians depends not on sucking up to Trump, but by helping their constituents survive him.
Wow, that's helping his constituents survive. Come on, guys. Bro, I don't know what about Trump like makes her psychotic. Like, this is drama. That is some acting for you. Helping his constituents survive him. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, I mean, like, if once again we're gonna be real, Trump is more popular now. Trump is more popular within the Republican Party now than he's ever been, or at least his control of the Republican Party is more popular now than it's ever been, because he just got a mandate after he was taken out by y'all. So, like, if we're gonna be real, what? Also survive Trump. I just really don't think they understand. We were trying to survive the Biden administration. That's why Trump won. Because yet again, people were put in a situation where they felt like they were trying to survive an administration. And the way it was looking, I'm not talking about like a metaphorical survival. I'm talking about like, we gonna end up in World War III and it's gonna be a draft and nukes are gonna get set off. That type of survival. We're not talking metaphorically, we're talking literally. If you're going to use these hyperbolic statements to describe your adversary, in this case, Rachel Maddow describing Trump, at least make sure the people that you're talking to can't be like, yeah, but didn't your guy like literally put our lives in danger? Like literally? For what? To maintain his little fucking mafia that he put in place in Ukraine and keep making money off of that racket? Okay.
Strong evidence supporting all of those strikes against Trump so far, frankly. But this is one other thing to watch. If we really are now abandoning the free world and lining up instead with the world's dictatorships, and Trump is unwilling to even explain why, just watch. The American people are going to have some feelings about that too. Just watch.
We do have feelings about it, Rachel. Let me just go ahead and tell you how we feel. So we prefer peace, right? I think I would rather not go to war, especially for Biden's family's money. That's for damn sure. I think that most people would be against nuclear war, right? I think that we can all agree on that. Even though a lot of them are neo-Nazis, I still don't want people dying for no reason in Ukraine. Like, I don't really like the idea that generation of men were wiped out unnecessarily because Biden got into office. Because that's effectively what happened, right? If we're going to be real about this, a generation of Ukrainian men were wiped out because Biden won. That's like not correlation. It is causation. We became a step closer to nuclear war with Russia because Biden won. We were a vote away. Thank God NATO never really had any intentions on allowing Ukraine to be part of it. But we didn't know that at the beginning. There was a genuine feeling that we're going to end up in nuclear war because we didn't know that NATO was going to disallow Ukraine from joining. We didn't know that at the time. So like, I feel like that's cool. I'm cool with not being at war. I'm cool with opening channels with adversaries if it means preventing war. I'm cool with what Marco Rubio said about like, I don't care what differences we might have, or if we decide to act in our self-interest, like I would prefer to not go to war with China, to not go to war with Russia, to not go to war with Iran. He said we need to figure out how to resolve our issues with diplomacy and peace talks. Yeah, I think that's better. I think that is unquestionably better than the alternative. Yeah, that's how we feel about it, Rachel. I don't know why you upset. Like, why are y'all so mad? And also, what is your alternative? She's like, oh, we are aligning our. First of all, that line again. We're aligning ourselves with authoritarians now with Trump. No. Before that was already a thing. You already aligned Saudi Arabia, UAE. The United States government, hell, even Bernie, really, if we're being real, y'all haven't seen an authoritarian government that y'all didn't like, that y'all didn't support, that y'all don't fund. Right? Like, and in Bernie's case, he never seen a real democracy or real democratic socialist country that he didn't call their president a dictator. Whether it be Maduro, Chavez, Castro, like, so what? What are we talking about, guys? Come on. Rachel Maddow has lost her mind. And also, we get right back into this question. Okay. Rachel. Well, before I address that, she says that it's weird that Trump cannot discuss all the conversations and communications that he's had with Putin in the midst of a peace deal that he's trying to broker between one of the world's biggest superpowers that we actually have an adversarial relationship with and Ukraine. Why is that strange to her? And also, and she's like, and he won't tell us why. He won't tell us why he's working with. He actually has told us why he's talked to Putin. He's been very clear about that. He's like, yo, people are dying unnecessarily. It's costing us money. No one is like, he's like, it's damaging the economy and the world economy more than it's helping it. No one's benefiting from this. No one, except for a few people. Right? He's like, if he's being genuine, I mean, which is a possibility that he is. He's like, there are soldiers dying on both sides that don't need to be dying right now. He has made it clear. But also, when he says he can't talk exactly about what's going on, but like he can't talk about the conversations in detail between him and Putin, I feel like that's kind of normal for a president. Right? Like when you're trying to broker peace, the details of that are sensitive because we know that the media reacts to everything, as we've seen in the last couple of days. So him saying that, like, as a president working with an adversarial nation, at least a perceivedly adversarial nation, according to the media and these politicians, I have to tread carefully when it comes to what I allow to be said publicly and what I don't allow to be said. That's fucking normal. That's actually very presidential of Trump, which is very rare to say. It's hard to say that because that we don't get to say that often, but it's Trump showing restraint. That's a good thing. Because usually he doesn't do that. He's like, I'm going to go to my True Social and tell everything that I'll go to Twitter and tell the world everything that we just got done talking about and potentially damage a future deal. I personally believe that Trump he won't say all the details because I believe that he is brokering a deal with Putin where they're going to end up sharing at least a part of the minerals and the rare minerals that are in Ukraine. I think that there's going to be a deal brokered. Like, because I'm sure Putin would rather do that than continue putting his own soldiers at risk. Because that's what a person who isn't a brutal dictator thinks about. Like, they will make a small sacrifice if it means keeping people safe. You know, just for Bernie Sanders information. Unlike Joe Biden, who justifies going to war however he has to. And also, once again, we're back at this question. Okay, so what was the point of that little soliloquy? What was the point of everything she said? So do you want peace in Ukraine? Do you want people to stop dying? Are y'all upset that NATO hasn't allowed Ukraine in? Because, I mean, also, if you're upset, are you okay with the idea of going to war with Russia? What is your goal? We're back at that same question. What exactly do you want to happen? And what is your path to us arriving at that conclusion? Because these people have not told us yet. And I hear a lot of pontificating. I hear a lot of Putin is an authoritarian dictator. I hear a lot of complaints about Trump's approach to brokering peace between the two countries. But I have not heard what their fucking plan is, if they even have one. Right? What is the plan? No, Putin's a dictator. We hate Trump. Okay. So anyway, like, what's the plan to stop people from dying? Putin's a dictator. We hate Trump. Okay. We heard that part. Okay, cool. Confirmed. What is your plan though? Putin's a dictator. We hate Trump. That's the plan. We're going to stick to it. Okay. So you don't have a plan. You just want us to blindly hate Putin enough to not talk to him to allow this war to continue for whoever's special interests. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Natalie Williams, thank you very much for the super chat. Niko, my theory is that the fake left Dems suck on purpose to push the populist further right. It's all psyop. That is not unreasonable. I don't know if they would frame it as that, but I do believe that there is a deliberate attempt to push for tribalism more, right? Because with tribalism, it makes things less complicated, right? It's easier to play team sports with tribalism. So I do believe that there is a genuine attempt to encourage tribalism in some direct and not so direct ways. So and from that perspective, I do believe you're right. I mean, because Jesus Christ. Because I mean, what happens, right? They every time they get they get to raise a lot of money. They make a lot of money when people vote in Trump, for example, right? He's a fundraising dream. He brings TV ratings. He makes money for the Democratic establishment. Though there's nothing negative for the Democrats outside of the ones who may lose because of Trump carrying Republicans with him at various in various state and local elections. Like outside of that, and shit, even those who lose, they turn around and run for another office and raise a shitload of money, or they become consultants and make a shitload of money. Everybody makes money under Trump, and I mean, like objectively speaking, I mean everybody made more money under Trump. That's like the first time anyway. Like, I don't know what's going on right now, but that's true, right? Like, if we're being real, everybody had more money in their bank account. Inflation was nowhere near as bad as it is. Gas prices were lower. So like everybody made money under Trump. Now, obviously, MAGA people, like loyal MAGA people probably made the most, but like Democrats can't fundraise when a Democrat's in office because they don't practice what they preach, so to speak. And yes, what is said about the Maddow Rebels channel is true. And that was largely the reason why. And he stole a bunch of money. Ben also stole a bunch of money from Max too. I think that Max had to get like a lawyer to get the money back, which is crazy. Different conversation for a different day. Then there's this guy, Mr. Anti-gun activist himself, David Hogg. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact that how many times have we said, for those of us who have been paying attention since David Hogg came into popularity, since he became a public figure, how many times have we said this man's a fucking psyop? How many times did we say that? And people were like, no, it's just like a super weird coincidence that that dude came out of nowhere. Like he probably wasn't even at the school from all the information that we have. He probably wasn't even at the school whenever the shooting happened. And his dad like was working for the FBI, like as like a director in the state at the time. And the dude just blows up, gets a 501c3 fully funded. They're holding the entire market. Like we knew David Hogg, and the man is now the vice chair of the Democratic Party. That's like, it is what it is. We told y'all. This, whenever somebody told me he's the vice chair of the Democratic Party, I was like, you are lying. Then I was like, nope, actually, that is exactly what I expected. That is exact. Now, I expected it to take a little bit longer, but that's what I expected. This is what we all expected from David. So Mr. Anti-gun activist is ironically super pro-war. I'm not really sure how to take it. Here's what he said. He said, if we abandon Ukraine, Poland is next. It's a weird thing. I don't know why people keep saying that. Like, in what world has Russia ever expressed wanting to overthrow Poland and conquer Poland? He said that, you know what's going to be a lot more expensive than finishing this war and forcing Putin out of Ukraine? A third world war and a second Marshall Plan. We are arguably in the most important moment in geopolitics since World War II, and our president is letting a strong man castrate us and our ally. So as you can see here, I feel like David has only recently began to even remotely look at international and geopolitics. Because what the Poland is next? Is it like, does he think this is Nazi Germany or something? This is the same. Russia was like, yo, just like, don't piss us off. Don't encroach on our borders. Don't threaten our sovereignty by joining NATO. You know, very basic stuff. After NATO and Western powers constantly and regularly pissed them off and threatened them and attempted to violate their sovereignty. And his man's like, yeah, man, Poland's next. Also, we are now by Trump brokering peace with Ukraine, that somehow means that we have a greater chance of going to World War III. How does that math exactly? And I would really like for David to explain to me, Mr. Pro-gun or anti-gun but pro-war activist, however that works. Once again, David, why didn't Putin invade Poland already? If that was the case, right? I think does anybody have like how does that work? Why didn't he invade Poland already if that was his goal? Because if he wanted to invade Poland, he would have just invaded Poland. How do you get to, because if you're gonna say something like that, you gotta back that shit up with some type of facts, some type of academic research, something. Like, you got some intel that we don't know about, David? Or is somebody from the Democratic Party just taking your phone and tweeting it? I don't know. I can't tell you. I mean, all of his tweets seem a little bit nonsensical since he's become vice chair. I mean, his tweets have always been nonsensical, but his tweets lately they've been like non sequitur, like just nonsense that like even Democrats wouldn't really tweet out normally because it doesn't make any, like, Democrats don't make sense usually, but the shit that he, like, Poland is next. What? Where the hell how did you get to that conclusion? Out of all the countries that you could have said, Poland? That's weird. I've never seen Russia have any interest in wanting to make Poland part of Russia. But hey, I guess. Oh man, I don't know if being a Democrat breaks your brain or what. But Jesus Christ, guys. It's funny. I don't know how, like, I've just never seen so many people be so pissed off at the idea of peace. It's just really weird. Y'all know that Neera Tanden actually tweeted out that Bernie's little 5-minute speech was dope and that everybody should listen. Yeah, so I don't know if Bernie is aware of that at this moment, but look, if you're on the same side as Neera Tanden, you're probably on the wrong side of history. Pretty consistently so. Like, that's been a pretty good measurement or metric for knowing whether or not you're on the right side of history. If Neera Tanden agrees with you, you fucked up. Your opinion is shot. You need to backtrack, regroup, and rethink everything about your life. And that's where Bernie's at. Same side as a woman who was literally hired to take him down and screw him. Check out Glenn's tweet here. People in the corporate media have zero knowledge of pre-2017 U.S. history. Ain't that the damn truth? It seems like it's even less than that, to be honest. Do they not know the U.S. has long allied with and funded and installed many of the planet's most repressive tyrants? Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Indonesia, etc. Obama partnered with Russia in Syria. Oh, I forgot about that. Jesus Christ. He's responding to this tweet right here. The fact of the matter is that America is, as embodied by this administration, is no longer allies with our traditional allies. That is over. America's allies are now Putin, the AfD, Viktor Orban, and other far-right fascist regimes. Guys, Putin is not far-right. Viktor Orban is definitely not far-right. I don't know where they keep getting this idea that Viktor Orban is far-right. Because he's not. Is it just because, like, he won't? They've been calling, so from my understanding, they've been calling Viktor Orban far right since he was elected because he refuses to pick Ukraine's side. He's like, it's just ridiculous. I'm not about to be involved in this. It's just stupid. The war needs to end. We know what NATO is doing. stop funding this war. And he's right. So like, is there something that I looked up what he had been known for. He was like, he didn't want, well, I think it was Hungary. I want to say he's Prime Minister of Hungary. Hold on, let me make sure. Yes, Prime Minister of Hungary. I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, he wanted to make sure that Hungary wasn't spending its money on bullshit in funding this war between Russia and Ukraine. Because one, Hungary would probably pay the price for it later. He knew that. He's not stupid. And also, it's a stupid war. Like, he knows that, I think, even though Hungary is a part of NATO, like, you shouldn't be trying to piss off a nuclear superpower for no reason. And ever since then, they've been calling him a far-right dictator, fascist. And I'm like, I haven't really seen anything that has shown me that he's far-right. I could be wrong, but from what I researched, never seen it. And it's just like everybody. So once again, like Glenn pointed out, so all the dictators that we fund currently and support currently, they're not far-right authoritarians, but like the democratically elected leaders who disagree with us are all far-right authoritarians. This is really weird and coincidental. I don't know. And hell, Glenn's talking about they don't have history since 2017, bro, or they don't know history since before 2017. Like, dog, we currently still support authoritarians. That shit hasn't even changed. It's still happening. They don't know history since yesterday. They don't know history since 12:01 a.m. this morning. It's still happening. We haven't met an authoritarian oppressive government that we haven't liked. Right? What are we talking about? Oh man, don't be, once again, do not be a socialist government trying to do right by your people, because you will pay the price. Democratically elected, oh, gotta go. We don't like those two. The United States, I mean, they don't like seeing those two words together. Democratically elected government. Whoa, hold up. Seems like they need to be liberated. That's what it sounds like to me. Democratically elected. Sounds like they could choose to not want to do what the U.S. tells them to. If you got a democracy, that seems like you got options. We don't like people having options and shit. That is counter to U.S. interests. Look at this article. We're going to check out this article from BBC. Fact checking. It's going to be good, right? Fact checking Trump's claims about the war in Ukraine. The U.S. President Donald Trump has appeared to accuse Ukraine of being responsible for the war with Russia in a flurry of claims from his Mar-a-Lago mansion in Florida. Speaking to reporters, Trump also made claims about President Volodymyr Zelensky's popularity and observed that Ukraine had not yet held scheduled elections due to martial law. He later doubled down on those comments in a fiery Truth Social post on Wednesday, which I personally enjoyed. Trump's accusations, some of which appeared to mirror common Russian talking points about the war. Like I said, y'all know this is about to be good. Came just hours after U.S. officials met a Russian delegation in Riyadh, ironically. Oh man, that's hilarious. Talking about authoritarian governments, to open talks to end the conflict, which has raged on for almost 3 years. Why do they keep saying like echoing Russian talking points? Like, is Zelensky holding an election or not? Okay. Did he get rid of the media that disagree with him or not? Okay, he did. Okay. Did he get rid of political parties or not? Yeah, he did. Did they have a chance to agree with the Minsk agreement and let the UK and the United States throw that shit out the window? Yeah, he did. Were they trying to join NATO? And are they actively still trying to join NATO? Yeah, they are. Why do they keep saying that material facts are just Russian talking points? when they're actually just that, material facts. But whatever, all right. BBC, guys, they've fact-checked Trump's claims. So it's going to be super reliable because we know BBC always tells the truth. Claim Zelensky is a dictator without elections. Trump initially drew attention to the fact that Ukraine has not held a presidential election since 2019, when Zelensky, previously a comedian with no political base, swept to power. He repeated the claims in Truth Social, in which he accused the Ukrainian leader of being a dictator without elections. Zelensky's first 5-year term of office was due to come to an end in May 2024. However, Ukraine has been under martial law since the Russian invasion in February 2022, which means elections are suspended. Okay. Ukraine's martial laws were drafted in 2015. Now, from their vantage point, they say 2015 was shortly after Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula and years before Zelensky and his Servant of the People Party came into power. Now, we know, in reality, what was 2015, you guys? What was 2015? The year after the Maidan coup. In other words, if a martial law rule was established in Ukraine or allowed to be established in Ukraine, it was because who allowed it to happen? The United States. It was because the Obama administration and principally Biden allowed it to happen. You know, it's kind of funny how people keep leaving that part out as they have now, because, you know, people are pointing out to them now and they have to hear it because Trump said the quiet part out loud, which is the United States is supporting a dictator effectively. After all that shit, they talk about him wanting to be a dictator, like they're trying to get me to support a dictator. He's a dictator. I'm not going to support him. Okay. It's true. And now today, the new talking point, well, it's part of Ukraine's law. It's their constitution. They can't, you know, if someone declares martial law, then they can't hold elections. It's almost as if the United States and NATO had planned on Ukraine going to war with Russia since the Maidan coup. It's super, like, really coincidental. That's just, like, I can't believe how coincidental. It's almost as if that was the goal when they passed that law, because they knew they would need it, and they knew they would need to maintain their puppet, whoever that might be at the time, when they go to war with Russia, because it will be wildly unpopular to go to war with a country that can wipe you off the face of the fucking planet and you have no chance of winning. Anyway, independent observers from the OSCE said in 2019 the election had been competitive and fundamental freedoms were generally respected. Yeah, in 2019. Once again, different circumstances, like I've already said. Zelensky won 73% of the vote in the second round runoff. Zelensky has vowed to hold new elections once the conflict ends. It is yet to confirm that he intends to stand. Like he intends to run again. Some experts have observed that holding elections in Ukraine before the conflict ends would be practically impossible, as Russian attacks on many cities persist and millions of citizens are displaced abroad or living under Russian occupation. Putin called for elections. They left that part out. I'm not joking. Putin called for elections. So in other words, all that shit, occupation, bombing, he would. I mean, he's never lied before. It would just stop. He would if they wanted to hold new elections, especially if that meant a chance for somebody who was willing to converse with Russia and broker a peace deal had a chance to win. Putin would just stop. There would be no bombings that day. He would let the elections take place. He called for. It's not the first time either. It's not like this is a new revelation. So that talking point also thrown out the window. Okay, let's continue. I just love these fact-checking websites. Trump's intervention on the subject came just hours after the Kremlin questioned Zelensky's legitimacy as his term in office has ended, a claim Moscow has repeatedly made in months. It's not, why did they, a claim? Jesus Christ, y'all. I know I keep saying this shit, but I'm going to say it again. Why do you keep saying these things are claims? Nobody is claiming that that Zelensky has overstayed the term of his administration. It's a fact. It is a material fact. It's something that Putin has claimed. Motherfucker, it's something that reality has claimed. This is reality. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like I told you, I knew this was going to be good. Referring to the electoral situation, Trump appeared aware that it had been a frequent Russian allegation used to undermine Zelensky, saying in his news conference, "That's not a Russian thing. That's something coming from me in other countries." Nope, that's also true what Trump said. It is not just a Russian thing. It's just a fact. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man, dystopian is an understatement. I don't even know how to describe the world we're living in now. It's an understatement. Because you're like, yeah, man, there's this fucking Russian claim that Zelensky has been president longer than he should be, like he's overstayed his term. That's like just a Russian claim, though. Like, no. We got calendars, bitch. What do you mean? We all got calendars. We got phones. We can look up. Y'all said 2019. He was supposed to hold election in 2024. It's 2025. What do you mean? Oh, for his part, Zelensky has previously said it would be absolutely irresponsible to throw the topic of elections in the middle of the conflict. It would be irresponsible to talk about democracy. And just out of curiosity, once again, if they were to hold elections today, ladies and gentlemen, out of curiosity, who would be the competition? Who would he be running against? Do you know? Do you guys know? Because I don't know. I mean, it's not like Zelensky knows, considering he kicked out all the other political parties. You know, because when we're talking about him overstaying his term due to martial law that he struck, he called for martial law. You don't have to call for martial law in the middle of a war. Y'all do know that. Though, actually, to be completely honest, I'm not really sure why you wouldn't, you shouldn't be calling for martial law in the middle of a war. Like, unless you have some type of specific goal that you're trying to achieve. But martial law, in this particular case, seemed like it was only, because it doesn't mean that Ukrainians can't get out of Ukraine, because, I mean, a lot of Ukrainians, like, they just fled. They went to the United States. We took a lot of them in. Hundreds of thousands of them, actually, at the start of this whole conflict. But even still, it looks like it was basically declared so that you wouldn't hold elections because you knew this day would come. And then that martial law was put into place by the government, the puppet government that Zelensky actually ran against because he knew it was corrupt at the time. And it does the will and the bidding of the United States. It's just really convenient that now, under this martial law that the United States was 100% behind, now the U.S. can use that as an excuse as to why Zelensky is not a dictator. Okay, and so what about the excuse that even if he were to hold elections today, it's not like any party is monetarily prepared or financially secure or even organizationally prepared to run against him because he's gotten rid of all of them. Not to mention killing journalists, jailing journalists, getting rid of me. I mean, what are we talking about? Even if we weren't talking about the fact that he overstayed his term. Yeah, he overstayed his term on top of everything else. Jesus Christ. Claim, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating. President Trump has also claimed that Zelensky's approval rating has fallen to 4%. It's unclear what source the president was citing and didn't provide evidence. We have asked the White House to clarify this. Official polling is limited. It's a nice way to put it. Official polling is limited and extremely difficult to carry out accurate surveys during a time of war. Millions of Ukrainians have fled, and Russia has occupied around a fifth of the country. I mean, if millions of Ukrainians have fled, I mean, it's not like they would be voting in an election that would take place in 2024 if they're not in Ukraine to vote in that election. I mean, that's just kind of like a reality of war, I guess. However, some polling has been possible to carry out by telephone. A survey conducted this month found that 57% of Ukrainians said they trusted the president, according to Ukraine-based Kiev International Institute of Sociology. However, that was down from 77% in 2023 and 90% in May of 2022. You know what? I'm just curious. I'm just want to just look something up really fast. I just want to see something. If anybody can show me really fast if the USAID was funding this Kiev Institute of Sociology, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we're gonna find. It would be hilarious, because like they don't even give a shit how scandalous that looks. Like, yeah, man, it's a organization that, you know, literally is funded by the United States, is saying exactly what the United States wants them to say. This one poll from this one institute. And it doesn't even really, it said that they trust Zelensky. Okay, like that's not an approval. That's not an approval rating. Y'all are aware of that, right? That's not saying that they will vote for him. That's not saying that if he were to run against someone else, that he would win against them, nor is it saying that they support the war. Just saying. Which is just like y'all got one poll. Oh, that's interesting. I guess that's what happens when you get rid of all the media that criticizes you once again. Some other polls suggest Zelensky is trailing his nearest rival, former Army Chief Valery Zaluzhnyi, in the first round of any future election, indicating the two would face each other in a runoff. In the wake of Trump's comment, I guess that would be his competition. Didn't this guy work for him? In the wake of Trump's comments, some major Russian media outlets seized on the claim and cited a poll carried out by Ukrainian MP and Zelensky critic Oleksandr Dubinsky on Telegram, which claimed to back up Trump's assessment. Dubinsky has been charged with treason in Ukraine and accused of operating behest Russian intelligence. Wow, man. So you're telling me the guy was like, actually, nope, he has a really low approval rating. Another person accused of countering Zelensky's talking points, accused of treason. Oh, man. Democracy. Y'all like and share this video. Like and share, like and share, like and share. The claim, you should have never started it. Ukrainian authorities expressed dissatisfaction over not being part of Tuesday's talks in Riyadh. Trump, what? I'm confused. Hasn't Trump been trying to get him to talk to Putin this whole time? Didn't he say, no, we don't have any interest in talking to Putin? This is so funny. I told you it was going to be a hilarious show, right? Okay, anyway. But Trump dismissed these concerns, telling reporters that Ukraine had 3 years to end the war before appearing to blame Kiev for starting the conflict. Yeah, they did. That's true. You should have never started, he said. The Kremlin has previously accused Ukraine of starting the war against Russia. They aren't the only ones. It was they who started the war in 2014. Our goal is to stop this war, and we did not start this war in 2022. Russian Vladimir Putin told the U.S. talk show host Tucker Carlson in 2024. Ukraine didn't start the war. Yeah, they did. Okay, whatever. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and have annexed Crimea in 2024. Once again, they keep leaving out the part where Ukraine started bombing Crimea. Right? Like, I mean, if that's what we're going to use as a start, really, like, that would mean Ukraine did start the war. And also, once again, makes sense. I mean, if you just witnessed the United States coup the Ukrainian government, wouldn't you want to leave and become part of Russia too? Because they knew what time it was, considering that neo-Nazis helped overthrow it. The annexation came after Ukraine's pro-Russian president was ousted by popular demonstration. I know they did not just call. Is that how they just described the Maidan coup, y'all? Is that how they did not just say the Ukraine? They said the annexation came after Ukraine's pro-Russian president was ousted by popular demonstrations. That is a really fucking generous way to describe a coup. That's wild. So now it's not democracy that they love. It's pro-populist demonstrations. That's not a coup. It's pro-populist demonstrations. That's democracy in a way. Pro-populist. Oh my God. Popular demonstrations. And it's okay because the president was pro-Russia. Bruh, come on, man. And then they're like, oh, the annexation came after. No, they're forgetting the part of the quote-unquote annexation came after Crimea voted overwhelmingly to join Russia. They overwhelmingly vote. It's like the democracy talk. They keep forgetting these democratic outcomes conveniently while claiming they have to disallow anyone from supporting peace between the two because of Putin and democracy. They're like, oh man, we got to protect democracy. Yeah, but what about whenever Crimea voted to join Russia? Yeah, fuck that. We got to overthrow their government. I mean, excuse me. We have to inspire popular demonstrations with neo-Nazis and guns. Wild, bro. Trump says Ukraine could have made a deal earlier. He's right. Rosenberg, how Putin and Trump shook up the world in a week. Who was at the table during the Russia peace talks? At the U.S.-Russia talks in Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah, that's what I was laughing about, by the way, because they were like they're meeting in Saudi Arabia of all places, and it's because the U.S. is an ally, and Trump would be safe there, obviously. And it's like, yeah, Saudi Arabia, you mean the one that's an authoritarian dictatorship? The ones that we don't support, but we're broking our peace deals with them, or through them at least. Very interesting. Russia also backed proxy forces who seized areas of eastern Ukraine. Yeah, because Kiev was bombing the shit out of them. So, yeah, that's what happened. And it accused the new government in Kiev of discrimination and genocide against Russian speakers. Yeah, that's because it happened. The International Court of Justice has rejected that claim. Yeah, except for the dead people don't. I mean, there's actual proof of that. And ICJ they're never going to support Russia. After the failure of agreements which aimed to end the post-2014 conflict, Russia began a massive buildup of troops on its border with Ukraine in late 2021. Putin launched the invasion in 24th of February 2022, saying that the aim of the operation was to demilitarize and denazify the pro-Western government of Volodymyr Zelensky and prevent the country from joining NATO. Yeah, I mean, he was pretty clear about that. Especially that denazified part. In Ukraine's last parliamentary election, support for the far right candidates was 2%. Okay, the fuck? Okay, yeah, and Zelensky then betrayed everybody and became a far right authoritarian. It should be also noted that Zelensky is Jewish and his party has been regarded as central. What? Are we still doing that? Are we still doing that? Oh yeah, man. Like Zelensky's Jewish. There's no way that all those Nazis are part of his military. There's no way, right? Except for all the videos that we've seen in the pictures and the celebrations of Nazi figures. That's literal Nazi holidays that they have in Ukraine. But all right, I guess that's cool. And while NATO officials said in 2021 that Ukraine was a candidate to join the Western Alliance in the future, it was not part of any formal process. Yeah, so I think that they misunderstood what Putin said. He said he will not allow Ukraine to join NATO. Motherfucker, that means they're not allowed to even be a candidate. The moment that you made them officially a candidate, you put Ukraine in danger. That was it. And you knew you were doing that. And the fact that, you know how fucked up that is, yo? They made Ukraine a candidate, right? They made Ukraine a candidate knowing what the consequences would be, only to then deny them over and over and over and over and over again. That's sociopathic, bro. Only to allow them to be wiped out. That is insane. Yeah, so as far as fact checking is concerned, this is why you don't go to the mainstream media to fact check a goddamn thing. But it's always fun to break down the propaganda, right? You got to. Really quick, I want to change gears real quick. So Elon Musk put out this tweet. And it pissed me off. I ain't gonna lie to you. So, as you all know, there's been like a beef about stay-at-home work from home, remote work, whatever you want to call it. Elon tweeted this out because the Tesla owners, Silicon Valley, tweeted it out, and then he's laughing at it. And this is like the dumbest shit ever. Like for anybody who retweets this, anybody who's sharing this, like why? Why are you cheering that like for remote work to end? Because I mean, it's just factually true. It's more efficient. And I'm not even talking about just efficiently like for the job itself, but for people who have to work, right? Like the fact that I can work from home, I save money on gas, especially when I live in the United States. Oh God, like I can't imagine. Oh no, I can't imagine because when I didn't work from home, I was spending like what, 60 or 70 a week on gas? Like that shit was a bill. Yeah, I drove a Honda Civic. Okay, like, and that was before gas prices shot up. Thank God I was already working from home by that point. Daycare. My friend just told me the other day, he was like, bro, I get a raise and daycare raises their prices to just above the amount of his raise. It's insane. And I can't tell you like what the reasoning is behind that, but that's insane. Like, so there's daycare, babysitters. There's buying your lunch or you know, if you don't have the time to cook your food, because God forbid if you're working like a fucking slave, who has time to do that? Buying a lunch versus grocery shopping, eating out all the time versus grocery shopping, right? There's like more family time, less preparation for you to have to get, because like getting ready for work and having to like put on clothes and do all that crazy shit, like that takes time. So now you're more well rested for work, and you also have more free time after because you're saving time on your commute, which is better for your overall life and well-being. And I find it extremely ironic that Elon Musk, who probably doesn't work in the office, I would say 5 days out of the 7 days out of the week, if at all, is acting like he's like, oh yeah, man, remote work sucks. Y'all think that Elon Musk is in the office every day? Y'all really believe that? Do you believe that there was a point after Elon became wealthy that he has ever been in the office every day? I would say probably the majority of his work is remote work, especially given that now he's part of the Trump administration and he still owns X. Y'all think he's at X every day? Y'all think he's at Tesla he can't be at all these places at once. And I would probably describe that as remote work. A lot of people who have remote work can actually now afford to have 2 jobs. Because like maybe one of their jobs isn't remote and the flexibility gives them the freedom to have 2 jobs. Like there's actually nothing that supports this idea that remote work is costing anybody more money or is lowering the efficiency of the job being done. Let me show y'all something. There's a Forbes article about remote workers. Workers are less productive working remotely. At least that's what their bosses think. There's an article from 2022. Workers with full schedule flexibility report 29% higher productivity and 53% greater ability to focus than workers with no ability to shift their schedule, according to a just announced report from Future Forum. But do bosses trust employees to be productive when working out of the office? Microsoft released a new study where it found 85% of leaders say that the shift to hybrid work has made it challenging to have confidence that employees are being productive. More concretely, 49% of managers of hybrid workers struggle to trust their employees to do their best work. This lack of trust in worker productivity has led to what Microsoft researchers termed productivity paranoia, where leaders fear that lost productivity is due to employees not working, even though hours worked, number of meetings, and other activities metrics have increased. In other words, they're full of shit. They just want everybody to be miserable. They just want you to be slaves. They don't have a reason. Because a lot of the time, some of these managers do have to go to the office. Like I know managers that like during the pandemic, for example, had to come in more often, or like when other workers weren't coming in at all, they were still having to come in 2 to 3 days a week. And they were fine with it because they understood like that was part of the job. There was some stuff that they couldn't do at home. But like my mom, for example, worked from home 100% of the time at one point. And they had done better than they had ever done in 1 year. And she's like a pretty high up position. She was able to do all of her work from home while traveling, have meetings and everything. In fact, I would say my mom probably worked better from home to some degree. She was one of the people that are actually was kind of happy to be back in the office, but she prefers a hybrid situation because she's like a people person. So like she liked that part of the job. But like I would say just from her sake, she was actually more productive at home and more on her P's and Q's. So, and I mean, when I worked from home, like my whole life changed. So my brother was like, he realized working from home because he worked from home completely, and then he went to 2 days a week, and then he realized those 2 days a week, like, what the fuck am I even doing here? Like, I should just be able to come and handle whatever I got to handle and go home if I need to be here to do this part of the job. Because he realized how much time he wastes being in an office. It's like, he's like, why am I here? I can do what I gotta do, go home, and actually be more efficient. Like, why are bosses obsessed with trying to get rid of remote work? When, once again, there is no metric that has justified it. There's no metric, guys. It doesn't exist. It's like they did say, it's paranoia. We're worried they're going to be less effective. Okay, so like, why are you? But hey, I guess that's like the capitalist dilemma. Oh, we're worried if we pay workers more, like that's somehow going to lose the company money, even though that's like the metric shows that like if you pay workers more, they're more you increase the retention rate. They're more likely to stay. They're more likely to work harder. Like that's what the numbers show. If you don't pay workers enough, they're more likely to leave. They're also more likely to get sick. Oh, by the way, if you give workers health care, they're less likely to get sick. Their family members are less likely to get sick, which means they're less likely to miss work. It's a fact. It's the capitalist dilemma. They're worried if they do what's best for the worker, there's going to be bad outcomes for the company. It is fucking weird. It's bizarre. It's bizarre as shit. Because once again, we talk about the for example, giving raises, like at the time, the $15 minimum wage argument, right? The main argument I remember was like, you want to pay $3 for cheeseburgers, which was like ridiculous because they did a study that was like, yeah, man, if everybody increased the minimum wage to $15, like the cost of cheeseburgers would go up like 4 or 5 cents. And everybody's like, that's it, motherfucker, you. But like it was gonna go up 4 or 5 cents anyway, because as we all know, inflation. The price of my rent, like, well, not my rent, but like everybody, if you live in the US, your rent, inflation, the cost of food, doesn't all that shit go up anyway? And they're like, but it'll be worse. Okay, how? It's already gone up. If anything, we'll be catching up. And all that would happen is that we would have increased buying power if you raise the minimum wage. And increased buying power means I, as a consumer, have more options. If I, as a consumer, have more options, that means you have to compete for my business. If you have to compete for my business, you then have to do what? Make it so that I want to buy shit from you. You need to lower them prices. Come down that a little bit, homie. You have to increase the quality of the product that you produce. Because I have the money now, and other people have the money to choose. I'm not limited by my income, so that you can fucking pigeonhole me and box me in to just 1 or 2 options. Less expensive and less quality. It's common sense. Like, I don't need research. I mean, there is plenty of research to support this stuff, but I'm just saying, like, you don't need people didn't need research to know remote work was better for everybody to a large degree. Hell, including the environment. You know who's pissed off? I guarantee oil companies, gas stations, maybe even some car companies. Those were the people that were pissed off, right? Because if I don't gotta put gas in my car 2 times a week, 3 times a week, guess who starts losing out on money? It's the oligarchy. It is the ruling class that loses out if we decide to remote work. Because now, and like you people who remote work, a lot of them take classes. They learn an extra skill, right? And they actually become proficient in that skill, and maybe they decide to leave that job. Maybe they become independent. Maybe they start out their own business because with their extra time, they had a chance to learn. That's what this society is scared of. More efficient, more independent workers. Because how can the capitalist machine take advantage of you if you're working for yourself? even though it's already been proven that more small businesses have been better for the U.S. economy. In other words, more independent contractors, more businesses, more skilled labor, if you will. That's what they call it. I'm just using that term as more experts, more specialists would be better for the economy. More options of more specialists would be better for the economy. More educated people who have time to get more educated would be better for the economy, would be better for the country, would be better for society. And they're like, no, why not? We don't really know. We're just scared. Bro. For real. It's like, we don't know. We don't know. We're just scared. Why? Has efficiency actually dropped? No, not really. Has productivity actually dropped? Nope, not really. So what are you scared of? We don't know. We're just scared for you to be happy. But with that being said, we're going to get on up out of here. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Subscribe if this is your first time here. You can support the channel, obviously, through Super Chats. You can become a subscriber, a premium subscriber. You can become a premium subscriber on Rockfin. Make sure, or you can subscribe on Patreon as well. Those links are in the description. Also, make sure you follow us on Telegram for breaking news updates, content updates, and all that lovely stuff. Once again, subscribe if you have not. I know this is that time of year where they start unsubscribing people forcefully. So yeah, make sure that you are still subscribed. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Had a great time as usual. And this Monday, I will actually be doing most of Monday as long as everything is good. We've had like a lot of appointments for the kids and everything lately. So I haven't been able to do most of Monday because if I'm at home by myself with the baby, yeah, that's it. There's just that boy is at the age where there is no peace. So now with one person about it, that's the reason I haven't traveled yet. I was going to travel by myself recently. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do my wife like that. I'm not about to leave you with these two little monsters by yourself. Can't do it to you. So, but this Monday, we don't have any appointments. So I will be doing it most of Monday. So I'll catch you guys on Monday. Like this video, share this video, leave a comment if you're watching a little bit later. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.